Uche Onochie one more time. My name is Uche Onochie from Marketplace Apostles, and tonight we are dealing with personal development skills. Please, before I proceed, I hope all of us are keeping safe. We need to keep safe. We need to wash our hands and do all those regulations, those things, and encourage other people around you to do what the government says, what the health official says. This pandemic is real. Do not ignore it. It looks as if it's people say they have faith. Yes, have faith for it, but faith does not negate ignorance or make you ignorant of the fact that this is real. So please keep yourself safe and people around you. Do the social distancing. It helps, and I know that this will blow past in the shortest possible time. Okay, tonight we're talking about personal development skills. Personal development skills is like changing who you are. Personal development is about becoming who you want to be so that you can achieve more. Some of us, a very few of us, come and they are confident people, they can speak, they are orators, they are charming people, they are extroverts, they can do quite a lot of things. But such people come, they come in short supply. Even those that are gifted with the gift of the gab, most times they also need to develop themselves to relate with people. This is very key for each and every one of us, whether we are employees or whether we are employers of labor or whether we are leaders. We need to develop ourselves for effectiveness. It's important. Before I proceed, my people have been telling me that we focus more on business and leadership. We haven't done much on career. So I said, okay, we'll take a couple of weeks and do something on career and help people, because career is also about career in a business, in a going concern. So all of them mean the same thing, end up in the same place. So the mission for Marketplace Apostle, which is the umbrella that covers most of the things we do, is equipping men and women with principles for success in business, career, and leadership. So we also want to carry along people in career. Not all of us can be in business. Some of us are employees but waiting to start our own business. So it is important that we know, have the mindset of a productive employee, and let the employer also understand what is the mindset of a productive or non-productive employee, so he can also help him. Most of us are in different stages in our lives. Now we are employees, we become employers of labor, we become leaders in diverse spheres of life. So we need to understand what can make someone productive. How can you change yourself? I came up with a lot of, I will say is, I was born with a lot of weaknesses, certain weaknesses in certain areas, in interfacing with people. I was born an introvert, also born very shy. But I realized that it limited me as a person. It was a limiting factor, because let me tell you, someone that doesn't speak, doesn't talk much, is talking on the inside, but he's not talking to you as a person. But he's speaking, and what is he saying? He's finding it difficult to be able to express himself. And in life, if you cannot express yourself, nobody will know what is on the inside of you. You might be gifted, but the world doesn't know it. And the world doesn't have patience to say, oh, let us wait and see, this guy will manifest. No, the marketplace, the corporate world, they are not patient. They want to hear exactly what is it you can offer them. So they are quite impatient. The corporate world, they are very impatient. So how are you able to interpret this person? I said to a young man many years ago, I said, look, you have some things that are similar to what I had, also trying to change who I was or trying to be more productive. And I said, do you really know that for you to be productive, you have to kill who you are to become who you want to be? And he was like shocked and said, how do I kill who I am to become who I want to be? And I said to him, the way you came into existence is not how you're supposed to exist. Most of us, the way we came, we need to be. We are like diamond in the rough. We have to drill it, and we have to touch it up and make it fit and acceptable to the world. So how do I process myself? There are processes each and every one of us will have to go through. When you see someone that is productive, speaks well, mingles well, and we all know that person to be this or that person developed himself, him or herself. And that is what this personal development skill actually means. It's how you are perceived. Is who you are. I didn't like certain aspects of my life, especially when I want to mingle with people, when I want to talk to people, and in the business area and with crowd. I could not really accept myself. I could not really communicate. But a closed lips, as one bishop said, is a closed destiny. So you need to talk. You need to be able to express yourself and say exactly in clear terms and words without ambiguity who you are, what you represent, what you can do for people. So it's actually changing your life, changing who you are, changing yourself to become. You need to develop yourself. Because if you understand these personal development skills we're going to talk about today, it can help you maximize the potentials, the talents that you have, and be able to transform these talents to become skills. Another word for personal development skills is self-development, personal growth. These are the things you need to work on for what? To help you attain your goals. What are the goals you want in life? What do you want to achieve? Then you need to work on yourself. If you want to be a great entrepreneur, a business person, a global entrepreneur, then you need to work on yourself. How do you relate with people of different cultures, languages? There's a way global business people act. Do you know that? Do you know how they act, how they relate with people? Do you observe CEOs, how they relate with people? It's not a day's job. You have to develop yourself to become that. So to attain those goals, it's not just about writing those goals down, which is good. It's not about saying it, but you have to develop the person, the character that will be able to carry that glory, that weight that you're looking for. You cannot want to build, example, you want to build a skyscraper. You have to consider the foundation. And the foundation in this case is what? The foundation is the character that is going to carry it. There's no need for you to become a global CEO and you don't have the character to be able to withstand it. I don't want you to be a flash in the pan. If you don't prepare yourself, you're going to become a flash in the pan. If you don't prepare yourself, when certain challenges come, you don't have the character, the resilience to be able to go through it. You haven't trained yourself to expect you haven't trained yourself to be able to deal with those things. Character is important. And character is important. If you want to advance your career, for instance, how are people getting promotion in the office? What are they doing? How can I get to become an executive director in the company I'm working? How do I improve my strengths and my talents? Your strengths and your talents are in a raw form. They have to be developed. They have to be developed and they have to be polished for the world to recognize it and accept it. You need to better yourself, because who you are now might be sufficient for the level you are, but who you are is not enough to take you. It's not enough to take you to that place where you want to be. So a better version of you needs to come up. This is the essence of this personal development skill. Also, to find fulfillment in life. For you to find fulfillment in life, you must change as a person. That's why I say you need to kill who you are. You need to eliminate who you are right now for you to become who you want to be. A different version, a better version of you right now needs to come out. And I think in this season and in this time, a different version needs to come. What is your version? I'm looking at Uche Onochie version 12. I want it to come out because after all this pandemic, there's a place I'm going, and I know that this version of me might not be able to take me there. What version do you want? What level do you want? Now you must have 5 individuals that you want to be like. I have 5 of them, and each day I study their lives. What do they do? How can I become those people? How can I become like those people? What do I need to do? How do I develop myself? These are personal. These are personal development that you need to carry out on your own. Today, this is deep. We will be dealing with a couple of the next few weeks. We'll be dealing on these personal development skills. We will do it for maybe 3-4 Mondays. So we will really go in deep and understand what it means, because this is life transforming yourself to become a better person. So it's not a joke. It's not something I want to take lightly, and so I want to deal with it well. And so this week we are dealing with the examples of what we mean by personal development skills. I have about 9 examples of personal development skills that we need to develop and touch upon. Next week we will do how to improve on them, but this week I will just share with you the 9 examples. So I'll read it out and I'll take it one after the other, time permitting. I will be able to finish it within the time frame that I have. Personal development skills are traits and qualities you already have, but you need to gain more education to be able, and training to help you. So the examples are: 1, communication, interpersonal skills, organization, problem solving, self-confidence, adaptability, integrity, work ethic, and leadership. I'll say it again. Examples of personal skill development skills are communication, interpersonal skills, organization, problem solving, self-confidence, adaptability, integrity, work ethic, and leadership. Okay, so let us take it one after the other. I hope to try and round it up this week. Let's take communication. What is communication? Some people have a different notion about communication. I asked a lot of young men and asked them about communication, and their own idea of communication is totally different from what communication really is. Communication is what? Ability to speak, write, and listen. These are the three things that make up communication. Because if you are able to speak, write, and listen, it becomes easy for you to understand the feelings of other people, then also able to convey your own ideas and feelings to other people. Let me break it down. Some of us can speak better. Some of us speak better than we write. Some people write better than they speak. Very rarely you see people that can write very well, speak very well. Like for me now, using me as an example, I can write better than I speak. I realized that there was a time that if I pick a pen and I want to write, I get this inspiration. I've written books. I have 3 books I'm going to publish 2 very soon, but I have draft of over 20 books within the next 2 to 3 years I want to bring out. If I pick a pen, I have this inspiration to write. But when it comes to speaking, it becomes a different matter. I've been speaking now, I think, for about 18 years. And that 18 years, it got to a point that anytime I want to speak, I have the content. I know what to say. I know what to say, but I am not able to effectively communicate, speak to people. So I realized that you can have content, you can know it, but you are not able to speak effectively for somebody else to be able to understand. So I knew that I had to bring my writing to my speaking. I had to bring it, let them be on the same level. So when I speak, I can also write. Some people think that let them just talk. There was a time in secondary school. There's this guy, when there's a problem, he will say, look, don't worry, I will fix it. Anytime we get into trouble, he will be the first person. He wants to speak. He wants to say something. And he will go there, and he thinks that just having the gift of the gab to speak means communication. That is not communication. Communication is when that thing you are saying has gotten to the person you are speaking to, and that person understands what you are trying to convey. That is when the communication line is complete. So the guy talks, he likes to talk, but he cannot listen. He doesn't know how to listen. And when you are speaking, because you have a gift of gab, and you're not waiting to listen to the other person, you have not communicated. You have not communicated. Because now when you speak, write, and listen. Example, there was we do an annual program, Make in Nigeria, every year. And we got to a sponsor's office, and the sponsor was talking. This sponsor is one of this prospective sponsor, not a sponsor, was like to hear himself talk, and when he talks, want everybody to be quiet. And what he was offering us was like a merger. It was a marriage, and we also are trying to merge, quite all right, but we don't want to lose an identity of who we are, of what we want to offer. So it's a relationship that we need to critically look at it and come together. But the guy was just talking, and I tried to say one or two things, and he looked at me and he said to me, if you speak to me the way you are speaking, it seems that this sponsorship will not pull through. So I apologized. I realized that he likes to talk, so I listened to him, but the only way to communicate to him was now to write. how to write. So we now wrote to him in a proposal exactly what we want. So it's in clear terms. People make mistake of thinking that if they want to communicate, they write. When you're writing a letter, a business letter, it has to be formal. There are people that can talk, but they can't write a letter. They can't write a corporate letter. They can't write a formal letter. Someone I have never met, and now in this day and age of abbreviation, of using, somebody wants to say you, he will use the letter U and R. What makes you feel that your abbreviation is universally accepted? It's not. A young man I haven't met, please be careful when you meet people. Don't assume that you can be informal to them. Your letter, he wrote me a letter, and in that letter you will see abbreviations like you sir, you are, and a lot of young people think they can get away with it. When you write a letter, it's you. I cannot see you, but I see you through your letters. Your letter, I see you through the wordings of your letter. And when I see such mistakes, I'll look at you as not being too responsible, because you are writing a formal letter in an informal way. I'm not your friend. I'm a business. You are prospecting. I'm a client. I'm not your friend. We have not become friends. You need to be able to write clearly, and you have to learn how to write those letters. Before, different organizations like their different ways of communication. When you write an email is as important as a written letter. So it must be clear. Don't think because it's an email, it has to be something that is informal. It's formal when you're writing to people. You know why? You might be a good orator. You might speak well, but not everybody will give you that audience. What if you cannot speak to people face to face? Then your writing has to speak for you. That is why it's another important arm of communication. And listening to people. Listen to your clients. Listen before you talk. You know, something happens to people when they begin to grow in knowledge, when they become knowledgeable. When you become knowledgeable, you become confident. When you become confident, you might think you know it all, especially in your field. And when you feel you know it all in your field, you will not let somebody else talk. You realize that you are talking more because you want to show yourself, but you are listening less. And at the end of the day, you are not communicating. And if you want to talk more, talk a lot, people will begin to listen to you. When you go, you have not communicated, you are not able to achieve anything. And so listening will help you to hear what your clients or what your friends are saying, for you to be able to understand their concerns, understand their needs. And when you listen to them, when you now want to make your own request, when you want to share your own idea and feeling, you will know exactly what they want, and you'll be able to speak in line with what they want. Every good communicator speaks clearly. Please, when you're writing, when you're speaking, no ambiguities. Don't assume that the person knows what you're saying. Be clear and speak confidently. If you don't speak confidently, people will look at you as if this man, does he really know this thing he's saying? So if you're knowledgeable, automatically it gives you that room to speak in a confident manner. And there's a tone that you use for different occasion. You must use the appropriate tone of your voice, your speech, depending on each situation. And one thing I want to also say for an entrepreneur, employee or worker, you see, anger does not go with speech. Anger doesn't even go with business. You cannot, anger does not go with wealth. You have to be able to control yourself and listen. If the client is not speaking or wants to be heard, you can listen to him, then you can write formally and tell them this is what you can do, what you cannot do. Even in communicating with people, the tone of your voice is very important. When you're meeting difficult clients, the tone of your voice, don't respond to what they are saying. How they are saying is how you are saying it that is very important. I learned that tone thing very early in my marriage. You know, women are from Mars, we men are from Jupiter, so we don't understand ourselves. And when a woman feels that your tone of voice is maybe condescending, too authoritative, you are being too, and this marriage is supposed to be two people. You are the head, but I am the helpmate. You are the head, but I'm the neck. So you can be the head. If I don't allow you to turn, you cannot turn. So each part of the body is very important. So I now realize that when I use a particular tone as a young man is okay. And among men, it's okay. There's a way you use, if someone can tell his friend, guy, you are messing up. And the guy will not take it personal. But perhaps you don't say it to a lady directly in that way. So anytime I use a particular tone, my wife just switches off. Anything I say, she's not hearing. So I now realize, I say, wisdom is profitable for direction. So now I have to learn to hold myself and speak in a particular way so that thing will not occur, she will hear me. If not, it will reoccur. So when you see that your speech or a manner of how you relate with people is making them not listen to you, then you need to readjust. I've stayed on communication a lot because communication is life. You are negotiating, you're speaking with people on a daily basis. So it's important that you know how to communicate. Number 2, interpersonal skills. It's also called people skills. It's also called social skills. It can be verbal or non-verbal. It's how you react and interact with other people. Very important. How you react or interact with other people. I'll leave 2 points with you with this interpersonal skill. What is the experience people leave you with? After meeting you, what experience do they go away with? Are you warm? Are you a warm person? Are you a harsh person? Are you friendly? Are you knowledgeable? Are you confident? Do you sound like an honest person? These things are very important because you must be mindful of these things when you relate with people. I tell anybody that is manning our hotline, you must be. There was a lady that was manning our hotline at one point. I used to tell her, look, we are friendly people here. It must, when you answer phone in such a way that people will say, they are polite in that place. Because I learned it at work. I was relating with a company when I was working for someone, that we were relating with a UK firm. And the lady that we were relating with, when I send mail, she responds very fast. When someone else sends mail, it takes time for that person to respond, for her to respond. So one of my colleagues traveled and she was asking, oh, how is that guy? Oh, that is a very courteous person, is warm, is nice, is friendly, because of the way I answered the mail. How are you doing? You know, it's in Africa that people ask, oh, how are you doing? How was your day? How was... Most people in the Western world, they just go straight to hi and they go straight to the point. And she was, when she reads my mail, the perception she was getting was like I was a friendly person, caring person, and so she responds to me immediately because she said this guy is a warm person to be with. You understand? So That is interpersonal skills. And if for any reason you meet that person personally, that person will relate with you based on the feeling they've gotten from you. If you are calling someone, that person is not picking, after a while, perhaps that person has an impression of who you are. When you go to a business setting, to a party, to a luncheon, to a cocktail, you must be mindful of the kind of experience that you want people to take away. If you drink certain soft drinks, Coca-Cola, for instance, it gives you a taste. They leave a taste in your mouth. So with personal skills, so with interpersonal skills. When someone meets you, it must leave something. Make sure you leave a part of you with that person. Because that is what they are going to take away and say, this man is this man is knowledgeable. When you go to a client to talk about something, please be prepared. As a salesperson, this was how I prepared myself. I will go and talk. If the client asks me a difficult question, I will write it down that I don't know. Then I'll get back to the office, get the right information, then I will rehearse it. I will rehearse my speech when next I go. So now I have learned something about my product that I did not know before. Because somehow your clients will educate you, your customers will educate you on what to do. And some of this, when they ask some of these questions, I will ask our European partners, the manufacturers of the product, what is this? Customer is saying this. When they give me the information, I have knowledge. That is the knowledge that gives me confidence to stand before anybody and defend our product or service. So you actually make out room for you to be knowledgeable about what you're doing. It gives you confidence. So when you're talking to a client, you will say, I think they know what they're saying. Because it's important that you leave a customer with that feeling. They know what they're saying. All this is interpersonal skill. Whether it's social, whether it's professional, whether it's business, in whichever area, please make sure that you leave an impact about who you are in the minds of the people you meet. The third one is, the second point I want to talk about in interpersonal skill is determine and classify early the purpose of that relationship. It helps you. When you meet someone, clearly, if this person has potential of becoming a client or becoming someone that can help you in that business area, the way you relate with him, you have to know exactly, determine how you want to relate with him. Do you want to be over-friendly? Do you want to be knowledgeable? So if I meet someone that is my client, the knowledgeable aspect of me is what I want to put there. The integrity aspect and honesty is what I want to put for him to remember me. If it's a casual friend that you just want to be talking and gisting, the way you relate will be in an informal way. So determine clearly, early, who you are building that relationship, who you are speaking with, what you want out of that relationship. Once you classify that person, once you profile that person, it becomes easy in whatever you want to relate with that person based on how you have classified them. It helps you. Number 3 is organization. The ability to organize involves tidiness of your physical and digital space as well. Let me talk about tidiness. When you come to someone's office, you see, first impressions matter. Perception is everything in the marketplace. If I come into your office, your table is scattered, work everywhere, it leaves an impression in my mind that this person is a scattered person. if this person is a scattered person, to what extent do I think I want to relate with him in terms of business? I'm not saying don't deal with a scattered person. No. A lot of people that have creative sense, they are not very organized people. So you need to realize that you don't use that particular thing to judge people. But what I'm saying is that make sure you leave an impression, especially you're meeting people. They will look at how tidy you are. Ability to plan. How do you plan other program of events? Meeting. How do you relate? Ability to plan, schedule and prioritize meetings or events. Someone that is good with organization, it helps to save time. It will prevent a lot of miscommunication and inefficiency. Let me give you a story of when I was working. There was a division in where I was working. There's this guy that does when they want to do a presentation to management and to customers and to clients. This guy was the head. He was the head of the unit that is like the division's public relations to make the presentation. He makes the presentation, he prepares the presentation, he knows the presentation. But one day in the meeting, I realized that the executive director removed him as the head and put somebody. He was acting head when the head left. He put him acting, then from there took somebody else that was new to the company and made him head of that unit. And everybody was wondering why. So I started observing. This guy does the presentation. He's the one that will speak, but this guy doesn't remember schedule. He doesn't remember that by 12 o'clock on Monday, they have to meet a client. He doesn't remember that they have to do presentation here. The guy is untidy, the guy is scattered, and he knows it. He's critical in that division. But he cannot head because he cannot organize himself well. And the corporate world is looking for people that can organize. This guy comes, I look at him because even me, I learned a few things from him. When they finish a presentation, he will send an email thanking them for giving them the opportunity to do a presentation. He will remember a day before, he remembers and reminds them that 12 o'clock we are coming, and he gets a feedback. Then he will remember and tell the executive director, you are supposed to be in this meeting, assign roles and remind everybody what they need to do. So he was a good administrator. He was in the team, but the brain behind it was not made the head because he couldn't organize and put all these things together. So organization is very key to personal development. Number 4, problem solving. When you write out a CV, you send it out. Most people are looking for problem solving, people that can solve problems. Because if you put on your CV, good at solving problems, they will ask you, what problems have you solved? They will ask you the kind of problems you solve. So problem solving is what? Is the ability to handle challenges and what? Surprising situations. Handle challenges and surprising situations. What happens when something out of the ordinary happens? What do you do? How do you cope with issues? You have to teach yourself how do you cope with those issues. The number one way of doing it is for you to be knowledgeable. It's exactly what organizing and interpersonal skills now begin to come to play. You must be knowledgeable in what you do. It helps you to tackle problems. I used to have issues with math. In my primary school, I was good in math. In my common entrance to secondary school, maths, I got 100%. But when I got into secondary school, Form 2, Form 3, I began to have issues with certain aspects of maths. And I think it's a phobia that I have, because some of my friends there, most people didn't like maths. They didn't like the maths teacher. I know if one of your friends who is up there in the food chain, in the midst of the group, doesn't like maths, everybody will stop liking maths somehow. So I realized that it became difficult until I met a guy. My saving grace was I met a guy, and he told me mathematics there's a formula to it. There's a formula to how to look at problem solving, of solving the problem. First of all, you must get your formulas intact. You must know them, know them, or know where you can source for those formulas on time. Then he showed me a way to approach. He said mathematics is not written in Igbo now, it's written in English. That, do you know that a lot of mathematics is even English? You are not calculating anything. If you look at OBJ, or objectives as we call it, in mathematics, some of them is English. If you are not solving anything, some of them is English. But if you have a mindset of, oh, you're asking this, those questions are actually supposed to confuse you. The essence of those math questions are to confuse you and to send you on another direction. So now he taught me, say, look, relax, that math is English. Read it first. When you read it, you will not be able to. So now I have a model. Now I have a model. I have all my formulas. So when they teach me formulas, I will write them somewhere. So if I forget, I can quickly go there and get those formulas. Do you know, gradually maths became very easy, because I now have a certain knowledge to tackle it. The same thing with problem solving. Let me use another example. Mechanics. You can have a Mercedes-Benz that has a Toyota engine inside of it. You can have. I remember when they used to import in Nigeria, we use left hand driving. They used to import cars right hand, and some mechanics would change it. Like now, there's a car I have that consumes a lot of fuel, and I was just telling my wife's driver, I said, look, I need to go and get a Toyota carburetor or injector and fix it. And he said, how will it work? Somebody looking at it, because he has the knowledge of general mechanics of how the vehicle works, he can change it. He can construct the part. And you know, in Nigeria, why Nigerian vehicle repairers are very good is that most of the time, if there's no part, they can manufacture a part. They can take a part from another model of another car, and they will work it. Why? Because he has the knowledge. And so if you have the knowledge, you might not be able to solve that problem. You might not know the issues, but because you are knowledgeable, you can now begin to put your brain to task. Okay, we can do it this way. You can do it this way. If you have, it helps you to be able to break big tasks into small bits. One of my gifts is when you give me something I cannot, give me a big task. What I do is to break it into bits, then bring it together. The only way you can do that is to be knowledgeable. Please, in whatever you do, you have to be knowledgeable. It boosts your ability to solve problems. It makes you be calm. When every other person is jumping here and there, you are calm because you don't know, you don't have the solution, but you know that if you put your brain to task, you can come up with something. Study to show yourself approved. So you be a workman that need not be ashamed. You will be ashamed if you don't have model. If people will know, your customers will know when they see you fidgeting. When a customer comes, even with something you don't know, you tell them, cool down. I will find a solution. The guy that repairs my car, one of the things I like about him is that when you bring a problem, he can take a day, 2 days. He say, sir, go first. I will get back to you. He takes his time because he wants to know what the problem is and solve it well. He can only do it because he has a broad knowledge of how a car works. And that's what helps you. And when they know that this man, we don't know what is happening, but this man, if you give him this job, he will come up with a solution. And that is what makes you dependable. We all want our customers and our clients to be dependable, to be dependent on us. That's what we're looking for. That your name or your company name becomes a household name. When there's a problem, call this person. When there's a problem, call this person. You become knowledgeable by what? Doing 2 things. Learning every day. I teach at our Business Leaders Forum. When you come to work, don't do social media. Don't do social media first. Social media, the internet, is a work tool. Go in there for the first 2 to 3 hours. Research on things talks about investment, about business. I just love the way he talks, and I'm following him up. You will get to hear about other people when you do your research, and you become knowledgeable by doing that. Another way you can learn how to solve problems is by volunteering to do assignments, projects on a pro bono basis. Some of the things I've learned in life, I volunteered. You know, when you come and you expect people to give you money for something, if there's no need, if it's not an issue for them at that particular time, they might not be able to give you. They won't want to employ you. I said, let me use employment for an instance. They won't want to employ you. They'll say there's no space. But if you say, sir, I will come here, I will work for free for 6 months, they will take you up. They'll say, fine, come. So when you're working, as you're working, you're learning things. So when there's an opportunity to do something, even if you don't know, you volunteer. Somebody there knows something, and you will learn something from there, and that is getting your own formula of solving issues. Nobody knows the answer, the solution. Even as a parent, there are some things that will befall you. You don't know how to solve it, but you know because you have done it for a while, you are able to find a way to solve it. That's life. Okay, let me move fast. Now I think my time is I think number 5 now is self-confidence. Self-confidence comes from experiences. Self-confidence is the belief in your ability, your actions, and your decision. If you have confidence in yourself, you are likely to be more ambitious and to try new things. And being ambitious comes with its own level of reward. Trying new things also comes with its own level of reward. So self-confidence comes from experience and your level of preparedness and usage. Whatever you use constantly, you become adept to it. And when you're using your mind constantly on some things, you will just have a lot of self-confidence. Reading. When you read, for instance, it fills your reservoir, your knowledge reservoir. And when the time comes, miraculously, those things you have read will come up and you will use it. The experiences that you have will help you to become more confident. The world is looking for people that are self-confident. So you can do it is backed on some experiential knowledge that you have. Okay, they give you an assignment and you say, look, I don't know about this, but I have an idea of this. I can do it. I can do spirit is the beginning of the unveiling, the revealing of certain abilities for you to receive that thing that you want. When you are confident as a person, I have seen that certain things in life, for me, I have gotten the best things in life when I decided to make a move. Blessings, knowledge comes when you are determined and you say, look, I will do this thing no matter what. Once you have confidence in yourself, but you cannot have confidence without having some knowledge, having some information. So when you are feeding yourself with this information on a daily basis, issues come up, you say, let me try it. And when you try, you discover new things. And when you discover new things, you have increased your level. And when you have increased your level, it comes with a different reward for you. And when you have increased your knowledge, you become more ambitious. Somebody that is ambitious is because his boldness comes from the usage of his mind. His boldness comes from his ability. The things that he knows, I can try it, Joe, there's nothing. After all, you die once. Let me try it. Let me try it because you have tried small things. Celebrate small successes. Try small things. After a while, you will become bold to try something big. Number 6, adaptability. What is that? Your ability to adapt quickly and easily to new things. People who handle change well are able to deal with variety of people. Don't be the type that you are afraid of change. You know, some people are not, it's not necessarily being afraid of change. The human nature, the way we are, we don't like change. We don't like change at all, especially if you have a leader, a new boss, a new head of department. This person, you don't know him before, but you just don't like him. Why did they change? We like the things we are used to. But let me tell you, the things that you are used to has already offered you all it can. Did you get what I said? The things that you are used to has offered you all it can offer you. So if you want more, try something else. Don't be the kind that you have a new boss. Adapt to what that boss wants. You find yourself in a new place, adapt to that system. Fast. People that develop don't. If you can cry. If you want to cry, but after crying, get up and take it. This is life. Life sometimes throws us some bad punches. But you need to get up. Because the progress, the advancement, the glory is in adapting fast and moving on. You will do better when you relate with people. You can relate with different people when you can adapt to the environment. Some people will leave a city, go to another city, they cannot adapt. Someone left the city of Port Harcourt, went to Lagos, cannot adapt with the traffic. Can adapt with the fast life in Lagos. So what does it do? It will reduce your reward. It will reduce your efficiency and your productivity. It will reduce. You must be able to adapt to it. If you have to fly Bolware, you fly. If you have to learn how to jump out of Bolware, and you will have to do whatever you need to do to be able to adapt to that place. people that adapt well, they do well. And if you can adapt, you tried it 1 or 2 times, you realize that you become calm in the face of trouble. And you people will be wondering, this man is changing. Before he will be complaining. Stop complaining. It's time to act. Stop complaining that your boss doesn't have sense. There must be a reason why they put him there. Don't stop complaining about their economy. Stop complaining about this or that. Adapt to it. Stop complaining about what one man is doing or what one woman is doing. Adapt to the system and move on. Okay, I'll quickly go through the last 3. Number 7 now, I think, is integrity. People tend to trust those who are honest, stand by their values, core values. Every man should have a core value. Every woman should have a core value. Developing a core value helps you not to exceed your boundaries that you've set for yourself. Core values helps you not to compromise. Core values will help you to say, I can only go this way, not further. Core value helps you to stabilize who you are. Core value goes to the depth of your conscience and pulls out who you really are. Who you really are. Because if you go against who you really are, guilt will set in. And you don't need to be feeling guilty about anything. So core value helps you. What is integrity? Who is a man or woman of integrity? It's one that says what they mean and mean what they say. Do you say what you mean? Or you tell one customer one thing and mean another? I will deliver this project in 1 week, but you know you will not deliver in one month. Do you mean what you say? This is integrity, helps you to build character. I talked about building a skyscraper. The foundation that will hold that skyscraper is integrity, honesty. When people look at you, what is the experience we get from you? Dealing with you, what do we get out of you? What is our experience with you? Are you an honest person? Are you a fraudulent person? Some people say, let's make quick bucks. Nah, it's not. There's a lifespan to that kind of behavior in the marketplace. The marketplace will spit you out. Because you can't fool people all the time. You can only fool them for a while. So integrity leads to what? Good reputation. Good reputation also means goodwill. And goodwill is what brings customers. Oh boy, go to that guy. That guy is a good guy. He will not cheat you. This one, I don't know, can defraud you at any time. And it opens door for opportunity for more customers. And more customers mean more profit. So integrity works for you. Let me give you 3 things that what do I call it? 3 things I wrote down concerning integrity. You can lie to get away from something with your customer or client. But the marketplace, the corporate world, has its own governing rules. Invisible hands that work for people. The governing hand in the marketplace will come down hard on you if you're not a person of integrity. Lies can get you out of trouble temporarily, but you know you need to continue to lie. Tell 1,000 lies to cover 1 lie. And you know that it's humanly impossible to do that. Number 2, quick bucks will eventually run out. Do people 10, 20, even 100 million, it will eventually run out. Because the mentality of having a quick buck is that I can do it again. I can do it again. People already know you. So when you come, everything is shut down. you will not be able to dupe them the second time. Then the third one is, but good reputation stays with you all your life. Good reputation stays with you all your life and even outlive you. And that good reputation you leave for your children. You are Uche son. No, he was a good man. When that time comes, he was a good man. They will do something for you. Your reputation outlives you. So this quick box and all these things people are doing, let me tell you, is waiting for you. Have you seen certain leaders that have stolen money, that lie every day? Give them 10 years after, what's 10 years? Give them 2 years after they are out of government. Look at their life. Look at the life of people that remain there out of lies and duping. The marketplace has its own stick. It's waiting for you. Number 8 is work ethic. Work ethic includes not only working hard, because when we say work ethics, we are talking more of working hard. Yes, working hard, but it also it involves reliability, responsibility, quality, determination, and discipline. So it's not just working hard. What they give you to do in the office, you do it. Are you reliable as an employee? Are you responsible with company secrets, company documents, and company property? Do you produce quality things? If we give you not just working hard and you cannot write a letter well, it can take you 5 hours to write letter and there's bad grammar inside. So what is the quality out of it? Determination. Are you determined? Some people, 2 hours before closing time, they've already shut down. Mentally. When they try a problem for 15 minutes, they'll just carry it to their boss. Oh God, I don't know how to do this. Tell me what. No determination in learning, trying to see. And you see, when you do those things, your boss is noting those things. And when the time for appraisal comes, they don't promote you or increase your salary. They'll say, they don't like me here. Some will say it's because I'm a Christian. It's because of my faith. No, it's not because of your faith. It's because of your attitude, your work ethic. It's not just in working hard. The working hard must produce results. Also discipline. How disciplined are you? Some people, you can't leave company document or company this thing. I remember many years ago when I was working, they gave one of my colleagues a company car. There was no driver in his unit to say he should use car from Ikeja to BI. You know, I knew there was problem that day. The guy came with his suit, he put on tie. As he was going, he carried his black Ray-Ban, put his black Ray-Ban, then he entered the car. The way he was driving out of the compound, I knew there was a problem. 2 hours after we heard that, they towed the car back. Long story, he had an accident. He was driving like this. How disciplined are you with company property? How disciplined are you with information? You and your boss goes out. You will hear something. Your boss is discussing a 100 million, 50 million deal. You come back. Oh boy, you go out there in the office and say, oh boy, this man, they make this kind of money and we are suffering like this. Everybody knows what is coming. And when that thing comes, everybody is frowning face, where's our share? You see, you have killed your growth in that company. You are not handling important information. Tomorrow you will not take you. A man must teach you the ropes, you know. A man must take you somewhere. So if you don't learn, if you don't discipline yourself to keep your mouth shut and learn from, don't count your gas money. Don't count your gas money. Don't count your bosses at this. You want to be part of, share of what you don't know. Be disciplined. in what, let them leave you in charge for 1 week as a manager, and they not come back and 4 people have resigned because they left you in charge of a unit. There's more to it in being disciplined, but I think you have an idea. So this work ethic, I'm saying, leads to productivity and a positive attitude. Lastly is leadership. Leadership is influence, the ability to influence people, to guide people. Good leaders motivate others and help them to reach their goal. So it's always about the goal, the company goal. So a leader understands that when people come into the company, they need to learn the company culture. Be patient with them. Be patient and guide them. And when they are going astray, a good leader brings them back. This is the focus of this project. This is the vision of this company. If they are demotivated, a good leader will motivate them and say, look, this and this, I understand. A good leader is talking, building confidence in the minds of the employees or fellow employees to improve morale. Everything is about profit. Everything is about productivity. So when you improve your personal skills, if you develop your personal skills, what happens is that it will help you become effective in the marketplace. Before you know it, you are being sought after by everybody. You are being sought after because you built that mighty skyscraper. I want all of you, under the sound of my voice, to become great executives, great entrepreneurs. If you are an entrepreneur and CEO, you must know the mindset and the suffering of your people. That's why I said it's good for both business owners, employees, and employers to listen to this. So listen to it so you know who the people that are working for you, following you, how do they feel, and also develop yourself to become that person that can carry them out. We must be developing ourselves. Like I said, I am upgrading to Uche version 12 because the next things I want to do, I believe that version 12. And for the rest of my life, I will be upgrading and upgrading. We're going to talk for the next couple of weeks. We're going to be talking about personal development skills. We're going to be talking about career advancement. So stay in tune with me, and I will come more on these personal development skills. Please keep safe. Keep safe. Whatever the government says we should do, please let us comply. Having faith is not ignoring the present, not ignoring the pandemic that is there. We have faith that God will shield us, has put a hedge round about us, but we also should not break the hedge by disobeying. I don't think that in the Christian faith we are being taught how to disrespect or disregard our leaders and government. So please, let's do whatever we are doing. But life will not shut down. That's why I'm broadcasting to you through Facebook. Life shouldn't shut down. We'll continue to train and make you a better person. I also want to talk to you about Make in Nigeria. Make in Nigeria is an arm of Marketplace Apostle that does the largest exhibition and conference in South, and Southeast, training people. It's Make in Nigeria t-shirt I'm wearing. It's about think, make, and grow. And we have a website. We're launching a website. It's been there, but we're launching it on Saturday the 4th at 7 a.m. in the comfort of your homes. Tune in. We will send notifications on Facebook. If you're hearing, please, you can send us a message. We can give you the link that you can use to tune in. But I think we'll be on Facebook and Instagram at the same time, so you can tune in. I will be teaching about the mistakes, the common mistakes of SMEs, to use that to launch that website. And that Make in Nigeria will be helping you think, make, and grow. Every day, every week, content will be going out. So I want to also introduce that to you. Next week, I'll give you more information. So I look forward to seeing you next week as we deal with how to improve your personal development skills. Please stay safe, and I wish you all the best.